On this momentous occasion, I'm honored to invite Mrs. Rohini Nilekani on stage to announce the launch of the IMBA Social Impact Hub and deliver a keynote address on the topic, Impact That Echoes, Giving That Grows Beyond Us. Ms. Nilekani is a trailblazing philanthropist, author, and changemaker. She is the chairperson of Rohini Nilekani Philanthropies and co-founder of Ek Step, which is revolutionizing access to education. Through her foundations like Argyam and Pratham Books, she has impacted millions of lives, especially in water sustainability and children's literacy. Voted as the most generous woman in India and recipient of the 2024 Mother Teresa Memorial Award for Social Justice, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together to welcome Mrs. Rohini Nilekani with a huge round of applause.
Yellaruggi namaskara. Hegiddira. Everybody good? I hope you've been having a very good day and a weekend, and I hope you're all imbued with pride and gratitude to your alma mater IIMB and filled with joy to meet your alumni and friends. I would be if I went back to my college, Elphinstone in Mumbai. You know, my association with IIMB, we came to Bangalore, Nandan and I, in 1984, and at that time, IIMB didn't even have its campus. And its hostel was in Ashoka Pillar side, where we used to raise a glass or two with some friends from IIMB. So I feel especially honored and privileged to be among all of you today. So let's hear it for IIMB now and forever. That's a large crowd, thank you. So today I was told that your conference is about technology, economy, and society. So I'm going to give you a 20-minute long boring lecture on that. Are you ready? No, I'm not going to do any such thing. I leave the technology stuff to the husband and the economy stuff to the economists. Little bit society stuff I try to do. But I have been asked to speak to you all about giving. And I don't think that's you wake up in the morning and say, oh, when am I going to hear a lecture about giving? So I'm going to try and make it a little bit interesting. First, let me just see a show of hands. Or many of you are mid-career, all of you are successful, all of you have dreams, not just for yourselves and the family, but for this nation as well. How many of you are already on the path to giving? Let's see a show of hands. That's fantastic because I don't have to lecture you about it at all. It's a lot of hands raised. How many of you think especially among the younger ones, how many of you think that at some point in your life you will definitely be on a giving journey? The ones who didn't raise their hands earlier, everybody else I hope? Not that many hands that I can see. But I'll tell you, as I tell you this, let me tell you how I began on this journey. Like you, I was a fresh graduate, I was a journalist, and now I've been in this space since 1990, it's 2025. It's 35 years of a journey of trying to give forward meaningfully. But you know how I started? I started by giving one scholarship to one girl in the neighborhood. And that's it, that's all I could afford at that time, that's all how I knew to do at that time. Today in 2025, we have just set up a 5-country institute to scale up impact called the Center for Exponential Change. But the point is it took 35 years to get to this point. And every journey is always like that. The smaller steps, the bigger steps don't matter. You just have to keep walking on this journey. Because I'll tell you why I really believe that we are all wired to give. You all are all intelligent, successful management graduates, running professional careers. You know, you have been reading about the neuroscience that is emerging. We are wired for happiness. We are wired to be sharing. We are social creatures. We are happy when we can create happiness for others. And actually, our neurons are wired for that. We just have to discover that. And of course, when you actually start giving and actually start seeing the gifts that come from giving, it just creates a very positive cycle. So I started like that, and soon one of my friends died in a very bad road accident. And it bothered me so much that I said, I have to do something. So I got some of the wonderful, earnest citizens of Bengaluru, including Jagdish Raja, Kiran Mazumdar, and a few others, and we set up Nagarik for safer roads in Bangalore. Well, the first thing I learned is not at all easy to do anything at this scale, and we failed miserably. Actually, it's nothing to do with us, but India is the road accident capital of the world. 160,000 people die every year on road accidents, and people don't seem to sit up every morning and say, let's do something about it. Is it because we need a different way of seeing before we can engage in changing something? Should we first start to get bothered about something, saying, this is not right? And with me, it was always like that. I was a bit of a do-gooder. Do-gooders are really terrible people, very, very irritating. I used to pick up trash behind people and frown at them and then put it in the dustbin in Bombay, and certainly not be popular by doing that. It took me 20 years to realize that that doesn't work. Gandhigiri works much better. But you all begin somewhere. The point I'm making is, I think a giving forward journey begins when all of us realize that something is not working for us. Something in society makes you uncomfortable, that you want to change something, and then there's nobody else out there who's going to do it except you, that you have to find out what you can do to change the thing that is bothering you. So I always feel that all of you must have experienced the same thing, that why is the education system broken? Why is healthcare not more accessible? Why is our environment getting polluted? Or it could be one of 1,000 reasons. So I feel that when we get moved by something that needs to change, we are moved to change something. And that is the journey of giving that keeps on giving. I also think family values matter, and I think it's never too late to start a family value of your own. My grandfather, Baba Saheb Soman, was among the first people who went to West Champaran in 1917 when Gandhiji gave a clarion call for volunteers after his indigo agitation. And my grandfather just left his family, got onto a train, and stayed there for a year to set up the first ashram in Bitiharwa and start the Satyagraha movement across this country, which eventually led, all of the millions of people then joined to help us get the freedom that we both cherish but also take for granted. So his story is very prevalent in our family. We look up to Baba Saheb as an exemplar, that service before self is the highest ideal. And I think that value percolates down to the generations. I remember a small incident that happened. We were on a train from, I think it was Pune to Bengaluru, long ago, when my little son was 2. And suddenly, maybe out of boredom, he just took out his shoe and threw it out on the tracks. And before any of us could react, my 4-year-old daughter took off his other shoe and threw it on the tracks. And we looked at her and said, she said, then at least some child will get a pair. So in some sense, I thought she was very clever. And that wit, I just thought of it later, that maybe that's what we call sanskar. She was literally able to put herself in the shoes of another child. And so I feel like these things pass down from generations. And I feel that if you don't have a great story, all of us have stories about our great-grandfathers or great-grandmothers or whoever it may be, your father or your mother. But sometimes stories don't get told. So maybe you can go home and start your own story from today about your giving journey. Because I'll tell you, children always look at what you do and not what you say. So luckily for us, our children are both very much involved in our philanthropy. Both of them are on my board. Janvi has her own, she wants to transform respectful birthing for Indian women. And my son is a philosopher, so he philosophizes about generosity. But what can I say that will make you feel like this is not some boring billionaire. It's all right for boring billionaires to talk about giving, but how does that matter to us? So I think, first of all, that, like I told you, I didn't begin as a billionaire in my philanthropy. You can begin from wherever you are. And why should we do it? Frankly, I think when I really sit and analyze it, I think I do it for myself. I think pure altruism may exist. It's a metaphysical idea. But I think mainly people are generous because they want to belong to a society in which they would love to live. Who wants to live in a society that is so unequal? Why should we take any pride or joy in living in a society or a country where 300 million people are still waiting to come into this room? What if we could work to make the doors open wider and create more opportunities and more rooms? Everyone cannot crowd into this room, because that would be a zero-sum mentality which is actually gripping the world and making us all shrink into our narrowest human selves. But what if we could create more rooms? What if that was the joy of giving, that you would create more opportunities and increase the slice of the pie? In some sense, Nandan and I tried to do that through the X-Step Foundation. By the way, is that the clock at the bottom, 17 minutes? Is there somebody here? Okay, I have 3 minutes more. So I'll very quickly tell you that Nandan, everybody knows Nandan Nilekani? Yes, okay, good. By the way, I'm the international president of his fan club. So anything you have to say to him, say it through me. In 2014, you know, Nandan was at a really loose end. He had left Infosys long ago to join the government to do Aadhaar. He had got out of Aadhaar for a very wise decision to run for MP of South Bangalore, and the electorate told him what they thought of that idea. So he had no job, and he was sitting there saying, "Abhi kya karne ka?" You know, he's not used to failing. And we were wandering around looking for a home for this poor man, an intellectual home. And we were at edX at MIT, and we were looking at their platform. And because I worked in education for many years, I said, Nandan, why should edX be only for adults? Why not for little ones? Why not for children? He said, Now, Nandan is used to scale, okay? Infosys has some 200,000 people, billions of dollars of thing. Aadhaar is about 1 billion people. So he thinks that everything is at that scale. So he said, is it? How many individuals does that include? I said, about 250 million. He said, fine, then I'm in. And that's how we started X-Step together. And we have been able to reach millions of children with the platform that we helped the government to create called Diksha. After that, many other things happened. Today at X-Step, we help to build digital public infrastructure so that other people can innovate on top of the open platforms that we help to build. And it's been a really exciting journey, because even if you start small, all of you educated, smart people will slowly discover, as you learn to walk on this journey, that you will be able to make impact at scale. There are a few rules of engagement that we apply. You can have your own, but I'll tell you mine, and then I'll also tell you this, that you're not alone out there. There are many intermediary organizations that can help you to come together to collaborate in your giving, such as Giving Pie from Dasra, such as Yes, Living My Promise. There is a group of people who have decided to give away 50% of their wealth in their lifetime. And these are not very wealthy people, but they are so serious about it that they're really worth meeting and being inspired by. There is SVP, Social Venture Partners, and there are a few others like that. So there's a huge community which fosters this collegiality around giving, and so that we can all learn from each other. But I think the principles that I was going to tell you that we use, and I want you all to think, you all are all into management, so you love having rules by which companies are run and management processes are improved. So some of the things we believe in are, how can we distribute the ability to solve instead of just pushing one solution down the pipeline? How can we be tech-enabled, but not tech-led? Because when you are tech-led, you can go down the wrong path. How can we be humble, but never be modest in our ambitions for change? How can we be unified in our goal, in our vision, but never be uniform in how we send out solutions? Because diversity is the key to contextual problem solving. How can we understand not just how to reproduce or to scale what works, but to really understand what works at scale, and that these two may be completely different? And finally, what we work for in no matter what I do is how can we help to restore agency, how can we enhance dignity, and how can we enable choice? I think that's how we try to work, and it has at least made us very happy. Nandan and I, am happy to say, are well on our way to fulfill our giving pledge promise, which is to give away 50% of our wealth, at least in our lifetime. We are almost there already. But I'll leave you with one thought, two thoughts actually. Just think about this, okay? And this really makes me hopeful and happy every day. When I get depressed, I think about this. All 8 billion of us on this closed system, which is our beautiful planet Earth, all of us, whether we know it or not, have one mission: to heal this planet. In our ambition, in our desire to thrive, we made a few mistakes. That's how it works. But now, all of us have this one mission: how will we heal and regenerate this promise? Can you imagine 8 billion people? Never before in history has this been thought of or happened. My friend Adam Warburg put me to this idea. Imagine the possibilities of 8 billion people, each in their own way, trying to achieve this goal of healing our home. I want you to dwell on it and say, how can you shape this mission? How can you shape this vision? Certainly, it excites me. And I would say to you that really in all of this, what I have learned is some people start from here. Some people start from here on this journey. And it is a very short distance between this and this. But whether you go from here to here in your journey of giving, or whether you go from here to here in your journey of giving, it is going to be the most fulfilling and joyous journey of your life. So I would say, welcome to the world of giving. Enjoy this gift of giving. And last of all, don't forget to keep a mirror with you. And if the men say we don't carry purses, mirrors come in all sizes. Because I'll tell you, sometimes philanthropists think they're the smartest thing since sliced bread, which we are not. So I always keep a mirror with me. I can show it to you. It's in my purse. And you should do so too. And sometimes you can smile at yourself and say, I did well today. Wish you very much good luck on your journey. And thank you for listening to me. Namaskara and dhanyavad.